And before we begin with our talk, again, a big shout out to all our sponsors. In case you've just tuned in, make sure you check them out. And of course, there is also a running challenge throughout the day from Eleftheria for a chance to win 2 headphones. And by the way, since most of the people attending the conference here are React developers, and perhaps you're looking for a cool new tech for any kind of backend applications, especially if you're in the e-commerce space, you look for something flexible, something you can totally customize, be sure to check out Crystallize. I'm from Crystallize, by the way, so that's why I introduce it. So without further ado, Eleftheria, welcome. It's really nice to have you here. I think they're all yours, I guess. I'll stop sharing screen. Feel free to share yours, and yep, you're up.
Great, thank you. Let me share my screen. Okay, and first of all, thank you very much for the invitation. It's nice being here, and I've missed conferences and meetups and stuff like that. I've already watched some other talks and they were great too. So it's really a pleasure being here. My talk is not specific to React, and it's actually not specific to coding or another like framework or library. You will see what it is about. So let me start. Okay. It's being loaded. Okay, great. I hope that you can see my screen nice. So my talk is all about when you think there is no time for learning or coding. A lot of times we want to learn something new, we want to do something new, we want to enhance our skills in something. It can be different to anyone, but our usual excuse is, I don't have the time to do that. So hopefully after this talk, you will be able to find some time and do the things that you love to do. Now, my name is Eleftheria, as I've already mentioned, and I am a front-end developer, content creator, and community manager at HouseNote. Feel free to find me on my social media. I'm quite active there, especially on Twitter. So if you have like any question, you can also find me there. I will do my best to answer it. And without further ado, let's get started. The first part will be my coding journey, how I started, how I got into tech, the difficult parts, but also the success stories. The second part will be tips and techniques of habit formation, so how to form a habit and why habits is a good thing. And the last part, and maybe the smaller one, will be dealing with frustration and stress, as there are some common things that we all face and some common solutions that can probably help you too. Okay, my coding journey. So as I mentioned, I am a front-end developer, but I graduated from an engineering university. My first school, my major was in informatics and telecommunications of engineering, which means I did a lot of maths, a lot of physics, but not so much of coding. And I did some first classes in the university. I saw that I liked doing that. Then I did some internships. And that internship was in the part of front-end development. So again, like I really liked that. I knew that this is something that I wanted to. I was like really happy with that. The next part was to do another internship, and this time I am originally from Greece, but this time my internship was in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. And that's when I started feeling kind of lost. Because in the internship, everything was like nice, but I knew that as soon as I ended that, I should find a real job. I started looking for jobs and I saw that my skills were not good enough in order to get hired somewhere. Back then and still now, I like to read like some stuff, some articles about tech. And one rainy morning, because in the Netherlands it's always rainy. Anyway, one morning I read an article that was with the title of 100 Days of Code, and it was written by the creator of a challenge named Alexandra Calway. Maybe you know this challenge is quite popular, at least on the social media, and a lot of people are doing this challenge and similar challenges. So I thought that maybe I should take part on this challenge because this was exactly what I needed. Now the challenge was to code for at least 1 hour every day for 100 days. I should share the code and everything that I did on GitHub. And that was actually very beneficial for me because before that, although I was working, I didn't really use GitHub. I only knew the very, very basic things. And I could see the other developers that they were constantly using it, but I was a little bit intimidated with it. And the third rule was to encourage other people to take part in this challenge or give them feedback or ask feedback for myself and for my project. Again, this was also a little bit hard at first because you have to use the social media in order to do that. And I wasn't using anything before that. But we will get into that in a bit. Now, I knew that I wanted to be a front-end developer, and I started doing that a bit by bit. So I started coding every day, slowly, slowly. But there were many things that I needed to cover. There were many things that I had to learn. And the good thing was and still is that you can take inspiration for many different things, and there are many free stuff. A lot of people started to asking me mainly through social media, like what are some sources for me to learn, what are some projects for me that I can do. For me, there are endless possibilities, and there are so many things that you can do. For starters, you can go to online educational platforms, and here I mean things such as Udemy, Udacity, Coursera, Skillshare, and so many other stuff. You can have like YouTube, which are always free, and the content is really, really good there. There are online communities, things such as Stack Stack Overflow, and also some Discord servers, some Slack channels, and pretty much you can find info about everything that you may need. There are other coding challenges, not only 100 days of code, but other challenges that they send you stuff to code, they send you links, they send you books, and obviously all of them are for free. Yeah, that's always a pleasure. And there are magazines and books. You can find like literally everything. And for JavaScript specifically, there are many great books. Now, from the other hand, if you're looking for some inspiration, you can read blogs, browse forums, follow your favorite developers online, go to their blogs, read what they're doing, and go to meetups and conferences. I'm pretty sure that you're already doing that since you are here. And also, I'm pretty sure that if things get back to normal, you will go offline too. Now, as I said, I had to learn a lot of things. That was my goal to learn, to be good at what I wanted to do, and finally land a job. So my first goals was to be a rock star on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And please keep in mind that that was my very first step. That were my very first steps. The other thing was to learn how to use better Git and GitHub because yes, I was pretty much using it, but I didn't know the details. I was just doing some very, very basic stuff. Also learn how to use the developer tools, the Chrome developer tools, which is like very important for a front-end developer. And finally, get familiar with the framework. I decided to go with AngularJS. I now know that that was not a very clever decision. And if some of you are not familiar with that, the reason that I'm saying this was not a good decision, it's not because you are a React developer, but it is because AngularJS is being deprecated or is deprecated. So not many people are using it unless it's for legacy code. And also I wanted to learn a data visualization library. I went with D3GS, and actually that was a very good choice because it led me to my first job. Okay, so what did I build and how I made practice with all of this stuff that I just mentioned? I started with very basics, HTML and CSS. Here I did another challenge called Daily CSS Images. That was a 50-day challenge. So for 50 days, every day, every single day, I was coding something using only HTML and CSS, these two things. So all the images that you see right now are actually built with these two technologies. This really helped me with my skills and it boosted me a little bit my confidence. But of course, then I continued with some JavaScript things. I started building some small games like this one, which is the Tic-Tac-Toe Game. And the inspiration behind this comes from FreeCodeCamp. If you're not familiar with FreeCodeCamp, it's again a free platform to learn. And this is another game, the Simon Says game. The inspiration again comes from FreeCodeCamp. As I mentioned, I worked a little bit with AngularJS. I built some stuff there. This is another game. And then I continue with data visualization and D3GS. Another challenge that I did, and this time it was more focused on design and not so much on coding. The name of the challenge is Daily UI. And again, for a lot of days, you had to design something. I try to combine things like design and coding. As a front-end developer, a lot of times you have to make some design decisions as well. And I wanted to be good on those decisions. And that's why I took part in this challenge as well. So I mentioned some other challenges and not only 100 days of code, which is the one that boosts me. And these challenges are JavaScript 30, daily CSS images, 301 days of code, 30 days 30 sites, daily UI, and a lot more challenges. I found that challenges can really boost you. That's why I take part in so many of these things. And it's something that it keeps you constantly trying to do something better. And this is what I needed at that time. About 100 days after I finished the challenge, I also found a job. So I was really excited about that because that was my original goal. And in about 100 days, I achieved that goal. Now, a question that I get a lot of times through social media is what inspires me and motivates me to continue either like doing stuff or being online on helping people or trying to motivate others. And for me, the answer is quite simple. If you want to be better at something, like try as much as you can and eventually you will do it. Being like motivated eventually will faint, but being dedicated in the things that you want to achieve, this will never fade. So it's a different thing motivation and a different thing dedication. What did I gain from doing this challenge and other similar challenges? At first, I learned to be more optimistic and grateful for the things that I have done and the people that I have near me because it's not easy. Like sometimes people will say, "Hey, let's go out for coffee. Let's go to the cinema," and you will say, "No, today I want to code. Today I want to learn something new. Today I have to study." So it's not always easy, not only for you but for the other people that are near you. Or when you are looking for jobs, sometimes you will be a little bit anxious. Sometimes you will have nerves. So the other people have to be in a good balance as well. I believe that I got better at time management. I also met a lot of people, most of them like again online, but some of them physically as well. And I like communicating. I like sharing my ideas. I like to connect with people. And the last thing, or one of the last thing, is that I traveled. And another passion of mine is traveling, except of my job. The other one is traveling. And I know that these two things may seem a little bit unrelatable, but it's not because as a developer, They may call you to a conference, they may call you to work in another place. So I really like to combine these two things as well. Okay, and now let's move to the next part, to the main part of this talk, which is tips and techniques of habit formation. Because by doing all of this constantly and daily, it led to the habit of trying to improve myself daily. So let's start with a quote. I'm not telling you it's going to be easy. I'm telling you it's going to be worth it. So I'm not telling you that coding is easy. I'm not telling you that finding time it's easy. I'm not telling you not going out will be easy, but I'm telling you that in the end it's going to be worth it. And you will be in a good place that you really like and enjoy. So, how to form a habit? First, you have to realize that everyone experiences resistance. Resistance is always there and it always gets you. Dare you to try to do something good and resistance will find you. And I'm not talking only about learning stuff. Let's say that you're dieting and you want a cookie. The cookie will be always in front of you. Or you will open the fridge and you will see something like nice food and you will want to eat it. So resistance is always there. It always gets you, but there are some ways of let's say, moving on and bypassing that thing. The power of limits and setting limits, it is something that can help you. Don't spread your efforts around. Focus on one thing at a time. A lot of people think that multitasking is something good and it will like save them some time, but actually this is a big lie. Multitasking will not work. Some research has shown that women are a little bit better at multitasking, but that doesn't mean that we are like definitely better and we can multitask. No, please stop multitasking and focus on one thing at a time. Try for consistency. If you have to do a big project, don't say, hey, I will do that over the weekend. No, build a little bit like every day and be also like very focused on what you have to build. Let's say that you started building a website. Say that today I will focus on register, tomorrow I will focus on login, and the next day on another part. Don't try to do everything simultaneously because it won't work. It will not. Okay. Another tip that might help you is track progress visually. It's something that I'm sure you have like heard many times. Keep a calendar, keep a to-do list, just keep something and have it always in front of you. It doesn't have to be something very fancy. It can be maybe just a pen and paper. It can be an online app. It can be something paid or something free. Just use it. Start, write everything down. Keep your long and short term goals somewhere that you can easily access because you want to see that thing and eventually do it. Don't overthink of stuff, just start doing them. Another also visually thing is don't break the chain, and our minds are not only visual but they are also acoustic. So something that I recently learned is also, for example, when you are doing a tick in your to-do list, you can also like say that thing out loud. Say that I completed that thing, and this is something that your brain needs. Trust me, it works. Now, another thing is staying away from toxic environment, and this is actually quite serious. If you see that something isn't working for you, okay, like move on. You don't have to do it. No one will oblige you to do it or to finish something. So if it doesn't work for you, just move on. From the other hand, some things that you can do to improve your daily life and your concentration is definitely removing all the notifications. Remove the notifications from your phone, from your laptop or whatever it is that you are working from. Say if you're living with your family or if you're living with friends, say to them that, hey, please, I need just 1 hour to do that thing, and after I finish it, I will continue to be with you or something similar. Just have 1 hour for yourself. And if you can have always the same hour, for example, 4 p.m., stick to that hour because, again, this is how you build habits and it's easier for your mind to build habits. Now, the idea is to make the unwanted behavior difficult, whereas the easy behavior easy to be performed. For example, again, have your app, use softwares that are easy to be used, keep your passwords somewhere if you don't remember them, so you can easily access to different services and online things. As I've already mentioned, block the notifications. I, I think that the best thing that you can do is to have your phone on silent and also keep it in another room. I think a big, very big distraction like these days is our phone. Or if you can learn something from a book, a physical book, and a laptop, prefer the book because again, on the laptop, it's way more easier for you to be distracted, whereas on physical book, it's a bit harder. Let's keep moving. So some other things are the bright line rules, which is going from something general to something more specific. And this goes more to big goals. Let's say that you have a very, very big goal. How will you achieve that? Try to break it, like create smaller tasks, work on those smaller tasks consistently. This is also why New Year's resolution actually always fail because we have these big goals, but we don't get organized on how we will achieve them. If you want to achieve something big, make smaller tasks and work on those smaller tasks from day one. The more you define something, the easier it is going to be for you to succeed it. And something similar is the Keystone Habit, which is that one good thing can lead to multiple good things. And as I also mentioned, like make that thing easy to be performed. If you see something that works, why not continue doing it? If you see that not eating ice cream, it can help you to lose some weight because this is something that you may want, then why stop it? Because you know that if you stop it, you will actually maybe gain weight or something, and you don't really want that. So you know what the good habit is. And at first, yes, as we said, you will feel the resistance because resistance is always there. But with all these tips, you may can overcome it. Now, as you know, when you have to do something new, you will say, "Okay, that's cool, but I don't have the time to do that." No, you do have the time, and we all have 24 hours, right? But we don't use these 24 hours in the same way. We have to use those hours in the best possible way. So let's claim back the time. Be ruthless about what you want to do. Track your daily routine, and you will find some gaps or you will find some things that you maybe shouldn't do them. So be like really, really ruthless with that and make small changes or try to do just one or two things at a time because you can't do everything in just 1 day or in 1 week. This cannot be done. Start from something small and build upon that. Have a minimum goal or a minimum standard, and you can always do more. Also, some things that can help you, and they are about time, is doing two opposite things at the same time. This is the yin yang principle. For example, you can learn how to code and also play a music instrument. You can learn how to go and to code, sorry, and also you can maybe work out or play chess or something like that, but don't try to do two similar things at the same time. For example, don't try to learn JavaScript and Python at the same time because these two concepts are very similar, and your mind will not be able to change so easily and grasp both these concepts. From the other hand, there are also some time concepts, and if you understand those concepts, it can lead again to better results. For example, we have here two concepts: the Pomodoro technique and the Pareto's principle. The first one, the Pomodoro technique, maybe you are already familiar with that. It's having like some time slots, usually about 20 or 25 minutes. And in this time slot, you will work or study as hard as you can, and you will be fully concentrated. And then you will take a very small break, maybe around 5 minutes, and then you will repeat this cycle as many times as you can. Our brains are not created to work full time. You cannot, for example, work for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. You cannot do that. Your brain needs a small break. And if you can actually um, have a specific time even for that break, it will be better for yourself, for your understandings, and for your outputs. The next concept is something a bit different. It's the Pareto's principle. Maybe you're already familiar with that. And this principle says that 80% of your output comes from 20% of your input. If we can have an example here, let's say that 80% of your bugs are coming from 20% of your of the code that you write that day. If we can maximize that input, this 20%, we can have better results. And this 80%, we will see that it's getting smaller and smaller. So we should focus on the input and then having like a better output. Because we can make that rule a little bit we can see that rule a little bit from the other hand, that 20% of our input will result in the 80% of our result of our success. And I think that this is the positive side. Another quote that I really like says that part of courage is simply consistency. And here are some rules, not some rules, some tips that I don't think that they are very familiar. One of those is keep a note to-do list, right? We already talked about the to-do list, but what about the not to-do list? I would suggest you to creating a note to-do list, and in that list adding the things that you shouldn't supposed to do. For example, you shouldn't watch Netflix for more than 2 hours per day. You shouldn't play video games for more than 1 hour per day. You shouldn't let the house undone for more than 2 days. Keep a no to do list, and again, keep that list always in front of you. Something else is that analyze your day and what activities do not worth your time. Is like video games worth your time? If you think that they are, then by no means keep doing it. Is Netflix worth your time? If you think that it is, again, like do that. I will not say don't do something. If you love to do something, just okay, do it. And we, of course, need some time to relax. We need some time from friends. So again, by no means, I don't say that you should only work, 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 or study and learn all the time. No. Finally, if you don't have something, imitate it. For example, if you don't have friends that are in the coding community, then go to online coding communities and find those friends. Even if they are online, again, I don't think that this is a very big deal. Just do something for yourself, something that it will help you improve your life. Great things in business are never done by one person. They are done by a team of people, and this is something that comes from Steve Jobs. Again, commit to something publicly because you will be intimidated, like you will say what will happen if I fail, and that's also the point of all those challenges. Connect with others because you want to and not because you have to. Don't ignore situations or people Don't say that I will code that thing the next time. Don't say I will talk to that girl or that boy the next time. Just start doing things and you will see the result. I know that the first step is the harder, but that's why you should really stick on that first step. You should do it and then more great things will follow. Okay, and let's move on to the third part, which is dealing with frustration and stress. It is not the strongest of the species that survive, not the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. And keep the word here responsive, and I'm not going to say something more here. Let's say dealing with problems at the workplace, a lot of times we have them, right? A lot of times we have problems with our colleagues. Maybe the things that we are doing at work, maybe we don't like them. Ask yourself, like, is it only you that you have those problems or is it something general? Try to talk with somebody. If you don't have someone at work that you can talk to, try to find like ex-colleagues and you can do that through LinkedIn. Try to see if they had problems and if they did have like what were their problems. Leave toxic places at any cost. They don't worth you. So just move on. Every day counts and your mental health should be your number one priority. Also, sometimes people think that they are not very smart. They get this imposter syndrome, but something that may help you is learning how other people started their careers. And for example, now you have mine, how I started my career. Know that coding is complex and it's hard, and if it was easy, everyone would do it. Don't compare yourself to others, never do that. You don't usually know their whole story. And sometimes know that you are in a position that you are not because you're great, okay, let's admit that, but maybe because you have other skills. Maybe you are good in empathy, maybe you are good in communication, maybe you bond the team. And also think again, like the first time that you got a job, did you get that job because you were great? Okay, let's admit that maybe you were not that great. I know in fact that I was not great in my first job, but through that and because people saw something in you, you are where you are and you are like in a good level and you will continue to be as long as you try for that. Now another problem and another issue is dealing with yourself, so dealing with ourselves. Sometimes we think that we are not clever, sometimes we judge ourselves too hard, but know that failing, it's okay. We all fail, and failing is not a failure. Failure and failing is finding a way that it doesn't work, and now you can move on and try something different. It's better to loosen up the rules than drop completely out. If you see that you're being very restrictive, if you see that your schedule is very full, don't just drop everything out, but maybe drop one or two things at a time out. And remember that we all stuck sometimes, so don't punish yourself. Last but not least, don't act like there is something wrong with you, because there isn't. You are great as you are. Even if you're coming from a different background, adjust your experiences and make them work for your current position. And there are always things that you can take from your previous experience and move it to your current experience. And please don't forget to take care of yourself, eat healthy food, work out, and sleep as much as you can. That was it guys from me. I hope that you enjoyed these presentations. And again, if you have like any questions, you can ask me either now or later through social media. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eleftheria. Really nice talk. Of course, having strong personality is super useful also in the coding environment. That makes total sense. Thanks for the presentation. Thank you guys for joining. If that's that, I want to say we will continue with our next talk in about 20 minutes. And I guess we'll sync in there. In the meantime, for those of you that just tuned in, make sure you check out the challenge that is running from Eleftheria. Also the rest of our awesome sponsors. And we'll see you in a bit. Bye-bye.